happy. And her daughter was single. So it looks like it's a foster child who may have been related to the family, but they don't tell us that. And very often in cities, those kinds of informal adoption arrangements happened. Children were just added on to a related family. Ages: 53 for George, 48 for Marjorie. Children are 24, 22, 18, 16, 10, and Thomas is 1 year old. George is a bricklayer, his eldest son is a bricklayer, the eldest daughter is a laundress, we have an unemployed son and then another laundress, and then a child going to school. Now you see that Marjorie has left her colleagues blank here, as did most women. You see women with like 12 children leave colleagues blank, no occupation, they're doing nothing all day, they sit around on the sofa eating chocolate. I mean, they were working from the moment they got up in the morning till they went to bed at night, but they didn't see it as being an occupation that they should write into the census. So it shows you how badly feminism was used at the time. And then you get the really revealing column here. They've been married 28 years, Margie's given birth to 13 children, and only 6 of them have survived. So that is shocking child mortality. And again, that challenges all of our ideas about children, affection, and how you manage that level of absolute attrition. And we don't know at what age these children died. A lot of children were carried off when they were 1 or 2 years old, when they had personalities, when you knew them, they weren't tiny babies. That can be a trauma enough in itself. But of course, diphtheria was widespread, and various gastroenteritis because of the poor sanitation conditions that they lived in. So how do people survive this? There's a really sad formula I won't show you, where the head of the family puts in the names of the dead children, and the census person writes error dead beside them. Sensitivity. So that it will give you an idea of what the city was like then. This is face to face off Catriona Street, two children standing there. This is the Church Street tenements that I told you collapsed. That's after the collapse of the houses there. You can see how miserable the houses were back then. This is a classic example of a single room dwelling. It's in Francis Street, which is in the south of the city. And you can see that you have quite a nice ornate bedspread. Some pictures on the wall, a few things to eat from, a table and a stool, and a chain pot here in the corner. There are 2 children in the picture, one at the door and one in the bed, tucked up under her quilt. But pretty grim, and there are other photographs of these rooms. Very unusual, by the way, to have photographs in Europe of working class dwellings at this point in time, because they didn't take cameras and very few people took the trouble to photograph them. Now, of course, we also had other things that you'd be interested in. Women working as dealers. There was an army of women working on the street, and you will still see them today out on various street corners selling flowers, selling fruit and vegetables. The Dublin street markets are still a very vibrant and wonderful place to be. Moore Street, which some of you will have heard of, which is off Henry Street, but the main shopping street in the north side, is our biggest open air vegetable market with women there that have been, and they are mostly women who've been dealing there for a very long time and still there selling their wares and packing up their food and going home. This is Mary McCarthy, living in Crowe, and both her husband is a labourer. She's a fish dealer, as you can see here, and her son Robert is a cattle drover, and her son John is a news editor. And we have a lovely idle daughter, Annie, age 22, and a child of 9 who is going to school. The lovely description for children going to school used to be scholar. I think we should bring it back in to make school children really important. But we also see very high child mortality in Mary's family, 10 children born, 5 surviving. So, now I'm going to move on quickly out of misery. I'm just showing you one last real picture. It's one of my favourite photographs of Dublin at the time. And this is the base of Nelson's Pillar, which we saw earlier on. And you can see flower cells. I'm just trying to check. There are still women selling flowers at the base of the spire, so that never stopped. The pillar vanished, the women stayed, the spire came, and the women stayed still. They're all still there, selling flowers. I'm not trying to do this much more now. Now, it's a kind of snapshot again of the capital, minister of the capital city. And again, remember, this is Joyce's Dublin, the Dublin of James Joyce, which is captured so vividly in Ulysses, in Portrait of the Artist, in Dubliners, that tell you what kind of a city this really was, according to some of the stuff we get over. This is one of my favourite women. She's unknown, I don't know who she is. Maybe she's one of our women who's a flower dealer in Stenson, selling her flowers here on a sunny day. We've got another woman here with a baby in arms and Mr. King going along the side over there. We have a tram coming down North Earl Street. Nowadays they come down Abbey Street. We have Tyler's, which is a shoe shop which still exists. Not on that corner, but still exists. McDowell's Happy Ring House, where so many marriages were celebrated, where you bought your engagement ring for your beloved, which is actually still there too, and the Dartry Gyro. So a lot of information, a horse and cart here, of course, because we're just starting, and a whole lot of interesting looking fellas hanging around here at the base of the pillar, with nothing to do, eyeing up the girls and seeing what one of the stores later on the day. So a lovely picture of Dublin as it was. Moving on to the sort of other side of what was happening in the city at the time. We looked a little bit at the political events and the kind of short out of there. Now, this is the Viceregal Lodge. If you have time to go to the Phoenix Park, which is one of the biggest parks in Europe, in fact the biggest park in Europe. This is now the home of our President, who will be addressing you tomorrow morning, Michael D. Higgins. At this point in time, it was the home of the Irish Lord Lieutenant. We made a seamless transition from Lord Lieutenant to Governor General to President of Ireland over a 10-year period. Back then, the Lord Lieutenant was the Earl of Aberdeen, a man who originally came from Scotland, who ended up being Governor General of Canada with a long, distinguished career, and he's in Ireland at this point in time. Things that are getting very interesting, and again, I just want to show you quickly their census form. Now, in many ways, he's less famous than his wife, Lady Aberdeen, whose name was Ishbel Maria Gordon, Ishbel, that's her name, was a great feminist in her day. She founded the National Women's Health Association. She was very interested in nursing, and she ran a wonderful campaign against tuberculosis, which was rife in Ireland, and particularly in Dublin at the time. She understood germ theory was just starting to be understood at this point in time, and it was becoming clear to people that TB was not hereditary, it was transmissible. The old rhyme, coughs and sneezes, spread diseases, catch them in their handkerchief, started around this point in time. Stopping the sneezing and coughing and spitting and all those things were transmitted with germs to people. So she got going with, she had covered wagons that went around the city, talking to women again in particular about how to keep their environments clean and hygienic. And she had considerable success. She actually lowered the rate by something like 25% in quite a short time, so she was a great heroine. But of course the wags of Dublin were never short of a joke. When they found out what she was up to, just started to refer to her as Lady Micro. However, I admire her greatly, and at this point she and her husband are living in Viceregal Lodge. This is the census return for them. They're both Presbyterian. They have a visitor called Frank Mears, who tells us he's an architect over here, with his servant Georgina Dallas, and they are the United Church of Scotland. And then we have another visitor called Victoria Marshall, who's a Scottish of Lady Aberdeen, Church of England, self-emancipation. We find also that child mortality doesn't just affect poor women, because Lady Aberdeen gave birth to 5 children and only 3 survived. So, and one of those died as an adulthood, so she had quite severe losses in her life. An interesting woman who did a lot. Now, that's just them, but with all the other census transfers I want to show you, there were 36 people living in Orrisville looking after those 5 people that were just all there. So they were very, very comfortable indeed. Down here, and I won't blow it up because I can't blow it up, we have Lord Aberdeen here with the bird on his head, wearing his ceremonial outfit, bidding farewell to Edward VII, who visited Ireland in 1907. With his long-suffering wife, who looks long-suffering, Queen Alexandra. Edward VII is, of course, a notorious womanizer who constantly had affairs with people like Lily Langtry, and his wife was not best pleased. Moving down here again, I've spoken to you about Home Rule. We have here Tom